Right, welcome back everyone. It's almost time for some more action. And this time around, we have a pretty impressive one. In fact, we like to call it the El Clasico, Bravado Gaming versus Energy Esports. And of course, it is a bit of a revenge match as well. But before then, gentlemen, why is it that we call it the El Clasico?
Well, I mean, BVD and EN generally have been some of the top two teams, well, some of the top teams in the country. So they've had a long rivalry across the MGOs. The irony is that the guys that are now playing for EN used to actually play for one of the Bravado squads, and the guys that are now Bravado used to be the EN squad. They kind of both swapped the divide.
I mean, this goes far back though, right? I mean, you mentioned earlier on today that you effectively, well, we always saw what the Bravado Motion squad, but sometimes I think we forget it was effectively Ian Legs, if I'm not mistaken, initially.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Wasn't Ian Legs Radox in them?
Yeah, and the Pro Bands.
Yeah, Zero and stuff. Oh my goodness, that was the funniest team ever. You wouldn't think they're a team, but then they would like beat you, and you'd be like, okay.
It's actually interesting because I think it's funny how things sort of go in full circles, right? When you think about it, we used to have the Pro Bane twins.
The real old school pros.
Yeah, Radox and Horrorcast. And now we have Hunter and Fury.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
I feel, and you know, if you look at just the way that the teams are like working out. I mean, although you know WG is obviously heads and shoulders above everyone else at the moment, we still have this sort of Bravado versus Ian rivalry. But yeah, let's go a little bit into that. So. You guys mentioned during the break that you felt that this was a bit of a revenge match for the side of Bravado and Ian, or sides.
Yeah, well, I know the players in Energy very well, so I know they don't want to lose this game, right? And obviously they're not happy with yesterday's performance, going down into losers brackets, and I think today they've looked much better, in my opinion, so hopefully they can carry that through, and Odu's gotten some sleep, I hope so, until now, like, if he's still on no sleep, he might have problems.
What is it with sleep and gamers? Why are we just incapable? How much sleep did you guys get last night?
I solid 6-7 hours.
Oh,
Demonic sleeping was pretty rough. I mean, snoring, sorry.
I only got like 3 hours, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, about 5.
I mean, what is going on here, guys? I mean, I'm just as bad. So I think, let's see, I probably got about 5 as well.
Addicted to the game.
You know why, honestly, the reason no one sleeps? One more game.
Yeah.
Those 3 words is...
Is that because you just lost the previous one?
Doesn't matter. You're like if you win, you're like, oh, I can play one more game
just be a quick one.
Yeah, I'll do it correctly.
It's never quick.
Like if you lose,
there's a friend of mine that always says, like, you can't go to sleep on a loss.
That's
a way to lose all your... That's how I lost. Like, I literally didn't go to bed until like 9 a.m. and I was 400 MR down and I was like, this is where I cut my losses. Like, I was like, there's no return. And just went to sleep very sad.
Yeah.
So it's pretty kind of like double up for MMR, you know. Okay, I've lost this one. Let me just try and...
you can double up now with...
oh, you can actually. That's fair enough.
You can pay to win.
Filthy Frank knows all about that. He doubled up 3 times, he lost all 3 times. He lost how to lose MMR in 3 steps. By Filthy Frank.
Well, anyway, enough about us and our sleeping patterns. Let's talk about some of these players. So I like to talk about a particular individual who's been playing a lot of Legion Commander lately because he is also about as old school as it gets. You may know him as Chelsea, but I think we know him as Lucka. And if you're really old school, you'll know him as Kez Lucka. What do you gentlemen feel about his performances so far?
Probably like, okay, I've always rated him very highly as a player when he turns up, right?
Yeah.
But he goes
if
missing. You've met Kez Lucka, you know his personality is absolutely crazy, right? He's like one up and then he's down and then he's really good at the game and then he's 2K, right? So it really depends. Like he's got his strong heroes and he's got his bad heroes. And I think it's all about how he's feeling that day. But when he shows up, I think he's easily like one of the best offlaners in South Africa.
Yeah. When he plays actually really well, like just the difference between him yesterday and him today. Like yesterday, he seemed like, okay, another offlaner playing for another tier 1 team in SA or whatever. Today, it felt like the large majority of the early game of Energy was carried almost entirely by his efforts as on the LC. It was like, oh, okay, wow, no, there's a reason why he's on this team. There's a reason why a player like Odu, who just came from Bravado, you know, have one of the most illustrious careers ever, still chose to partner up with somebody like Chelsea. Like he still does have that skill. When he's on form, he's damn near unbeatable.
Yeah, Darren does have that issue where he kind of, like, he's a bit hit and miss. Like, when he's on his game, he completely dominates. But he does go missing a couple of times. I know that last weekend, his LC was beastly. I think he was something like 5 games played, 5 wins. Unfortunately, every other hero that he kind of got given not as effective, especially his clock games. Missed a couple of team fights that he should have been there. Got a couple of bad cogs. He makes odd decisions at times. Like, he'll jump on a support when there's no real worth in killing the support. So overall, a fantastic player when like Donny says, when he pitches up. But he needs to pitch up here. It's a best of one. You can't afford to have him go missing today.
Yeah, and another individual that I think is worth mentioning from the other side of the river, of course, is RDK. We chatted about him a bit earlier. How do we feel he's performing at this event so far?
I mean, he had a pretty bad Sven game. I mean, I was not really like. It's difficult to speak about those games because they played the best team in South Africa, and he didn't have like ideal matchups. But in the Venge game, there were glimmers of hope. You saw he played the Sven game. I'm just writing it off because I mean, you saw the fights. He couldn't do anything. It's not because of him. He tried, but yeah, like I think they just need to. They need to enable him. I would say like he's probably their stronger player, one of their strongest players. They need to try and enable him best they can.
The first game actually was a standout performance, I think, on the Vengeful Spirit from him. The game could have, if there was a less skilled carry player in that position, I think they definitely wouldn't have gotten as much traction as they did out of the hero. But he made something out of nothing, and that's what you kind of have to expect from your carry players. Like carry players is not just about farming the map and getting as much GPM as possible. You have to have that X factor. Like the enemy team should always be scared if you're going to be in a team fight, not necessarily just because of the hero that you're playing, but they know that you know how to push the limits of that hero to the point where no fight is safe if you're around, and he was able to do that in game 1. I mean, sure they lost, but given that we all pretty much agreed that they got outdrafted in that game, and still simply because of the Vengeful Spirit, how he was playing the game, managed to extend it, get Soda back into the game. So RDK, it's the second game we can write it off, but still I think he's been performing quite admirably this weekend.
Like I think RDK's decision making is really what separates him. Like you can go through patches where you're just playing badly, but your decision making is really what's going to decide whether you're always a good player or whether you're sometimes a good player.
Now, interestingly, we were chatting up in the green room earlier, and we were talking about a particular player, Castaway, right? And talking about how he gets a lot of spotlight. And then sometimes we don't actually take enough time to look at the players around the sort of big dogs in the team to really appreciate them. So I'm curious, are there any guys from Bravado or Ian that you think don't get enough credit?
I think
Ian Strike, I would say, doesn't get a lot of credit, right? Strike's very good on his heroes. Like he sets, because like the reason the mid players or the core player or the carry players get a lot of spotlight is because when they're farmed, they have it's like they make flashy plays, right? Flashy, in quotations. Like as a support player, they like them being really good is not super flashy, but you notice it if you know what to look for. And it's just like it's difficult for, let's say, the less experienced players to now praise a player. They don't even understand why it was good, but it's easy to understand. Oh, Rampage on Quap, that's way easier to understand. So
Of course. So other than Strike, maybe somebody else is worth a mention. Maybe somebody not even in this matchup that's just worth.
I was actually pretty impressed with Mikasa. Like he originally started on that Ian squad as the mid laner. Like that was a situation I never felt suited him. Like it was bad.
He was everywhere.
The problem is like, and then
carry for a while as well.
And then I think when they swapped him to support, it just sort of like that was his vibe. Like he likes playing, or he's good at support, and I think it worked best for the team. But I think, like, also he had some pretty good hooks as that Pudge. Like, there was some really good prediction hooks there. Especially, I think it was the very first hook that they almost got the first blood on Castaway in mid lane. Like, he caught him right on the edge of the hook. So, I think he's very good at making things happen as a support. But the biggest issue that BVD has is like the whole team needs to work together. It just sometimes feels like the supports are doing a good job, the carry is doing a good job, but like there's rarely the whole team working together to make it all work together.
And on the counterpart on energy, I mean, you never hear of people really praising Mr. Podikins, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely got good games and he's got awful games, like awful, right? But now it's like it definitely has to do with his hero pool. But when his hero pool, when they pick from that pool, you saw that Ricky game seems like one of his Earth Spirit, Coddle, Tree. When I see him play those zeros, I actually think, wow, he's actually doing a lot of work for his team, And then no one ever really brings it up, and I think, he deserves some praise there.
Yeah, he did exceptionally well today on that Ricky. Like pretty much won them the majority of that game. Like creating all the space,
Strike and him definitely.
Him and Strike definitely together, just making the map so dangerous for everyone else to move around. Another underrated player I think in this particular matchup is Impact. A lot of games that I see BVD win, when BVD wins, they usually win the early game through their vision control, and Impact is normally the player that makes that happen. And today, when we saw them lose against WRG, the first thing I noticed was, Impact actually he can't go anywhere, he can't get any impactful vision out. Schlinks is always there to counter him, and Santo as well is just keeping so much pressure on him negatively. So I think Impact is also another player who, obviously has a high impact in the game.
That is like the third pun. Impactful vision, has a high impact. Are we going to have a little... Who else can make puns? I mean, Strike's a good contender to make some puns about. Do you want to toss a couple in there?
I don't know. Maybe he'll hit me later.
I don't think so.
I think you can get an ally from XTC to help you to back you up if Strike gets angry with you.
If he gets mad at me, maybe I'll just go dreamy and I'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, like you said, Impact. You never that he's also another player that doesn't get praised. But like back in I think a year ago, I thought he was one of the best players in South Africa. No one ever brought his name up, and I used to speak to Seam about it, and I used to say, I think Impact's actually very. You don't think of him that often, but like he's very consistent. His warding's very good, his positioning is very good, and a few times in IXL he actually impressed me as a player, and I thought, no, it's actually got this guy. I've never like really looked at him, but he's actually pretty legit at the game.
So let's talk a little bit more about this Bravado lineup as a hopeful side. I think that they're not. I think what we've seen in the past. Let's use APG as a reference, right? This is a side that has high caliber players who are experienced and have done very well. They're on the down, right? And BVD, are we all agree with they're kind of on the up?
Well, they're on the up from a down. Like they
Yeah,
were
like
on a much higher level, then they dipped a bit. And it looked like they were going to keep that downward trajectory, but it seemed like they're getting a bit better coming up again. But they're still not back where they were at a point. Like 6 months ago, this was a much different team, and they were way better. They looked extremely dominant. At that point, if you'd asked me then, like who's the best team, I would have said to you, like easily top 2 would be Bravado and WRG. Now it's like. Now the only team I know is the best is WRG. I have no idea who follows them after that. And Bravado, they have the potential to be there, definitely. But whether they'll get back to that potential, like they'll actually play to that level in this tournament. We saw shades of it in the games versus WRG, but it's kind of hard to see versus WRG. So maybe we'll see them come out here, like get that dragon mode going against Energy.
So obviously, you talk about the top teams. Of the other one waiting in the wings is XTC as well. That's the kind of expectant one. If Bravado can win this, and let's assume they end up facing XTC at some point.
Are you really shooting XT down?
No.
You don't think they're going to be
They're
2-0
the grand
WRG?
finals.
2-0 WRG? WRG's going to lose a bracket.
Are you ready calling a win in the
No,
uppers?
that's just rude.
I was backing XTC to be in the finals, lads, and then
saying in the
Bravado
finals.
take it. I mean, come on, WG third.
He's saying Dexys is going to tour everybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's going to
Okay,
tour
okay,
WRG
I'm okay with this,
next
yes,
round,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
then
That's just because Adam Wood said that you were the best players.
Oh,
right?
yes. Shout out to Adam.
Can we get a list?
Admittedly
Let's actually write down all the teams that have said this. There have been 2 so far. It was
Oh,
Three.
no, yeah, can't keep track. There's just so many.
Strike. It was Strike, Soda, and
Adam Moore.
Wow,
Adam Moore.
3 fans?
3 fans.
Guys.
fans.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Donnie starting a band.
Let's just work this out for a second. So, how do you feel about Energy at the moment?
Oh, they're great. I like those guys a lot. I play different games with
How do you
them.
feel about XC at the moment?
What? We're not talking about the matchup.
No, we're just talking about XTC now. How do you feel about them?
I don't think Deputy's been playing that well this tournament, to be honest. I'm kind of worried. Like they're struggling against XD.
And Adam Moore, how's he been playing?
Awful.
You're just covering your back here. You're just covering your back. Okay.
But I mean, it's the matchups, right? He hasn't had great games.
Don't take this too
From
seriously.
Russell.
Don't worry. But let's get a little bit more serious. It's always nice to have a bit of fun. But we are getting very close to the time. One of these sides, in fact, is going home. I should say they're going home. It's not a LAN event, but they're out.
Send them back to their home.
They're going to their beds. You know, they're going to be sad. Maybe no dinner for not performing well enough. But of course, there's Energy versus Bravado games. Going to be a really impressive one, guys. So. Really, it's El Clasico for a reason. Some very old school players here that are all very, very talented. And it's probably, in my opinion, possibly the match of the day.
What are the predictions there? Like, what do you guys think? I'm going to
You
go
wanna
with
flip a
Ian.
coin?
I'm
Does anyone
fanboying Ian all the way.
This is such a difficult
I'm a
game.
Chelsea fanboy and an Odoo fanboy and a chosen one maybe.
BVD, I really like impact voting. Like, I learned a lot about what Vision can do for your team from him. So,
Come
just
on,
because
dude.
of that, I'm
Poor
hoping.
Dreamy. You're just shooting him down like that.
Well, he needs to dream and go home and sleep. He's tired.
I don't know. Like, I'm genuinely not certain. Ian yesterday looked bad. BVD also didn't look great yesterday. Today, both look better. I think without seeing any draft, I think Ian's a bit more explosive. Like, if they get a lead, I think they're going to blow the game open. So I'm going to plump for Ian.
Nice. Good choice.
Right. Okay. Well, let's go with it. I feel like I wanted to weigh in here. I think either Energy or Bravado will win this one.
Yeah.
wow.
Some sick
Yeah,
analysis right there,
that's
honestly.
Top tier.
Is there a
man.
fence underneath?
there is, in fact. No, actually, okay, I'll commit to this one. I actually think it's going the way of Bravado, which is interesting because if you had asked me yesterday, I would have said Energy Esports.
Yeah,
They're also there are glimpses of absolute magnificence in the Ian lineup. I mean, I just think of some of the things that they do that other teams, even WG, I don't think do. So definitely a really hard team to beat. But I don't know. I just feel like there's a little bit of magic just lingering there in the Bravado lineup right now. And I think that after, I would say, like competitive performances against the big boys. Maybe they're going to go into this one and take Ian out of it. But okay, so we are just minutes. In fact, we're seconds away from the draft going in.
I really
do you
hope
think there's
Ian makes
any-
you guys eat your words. Just saying.
I just hope Bravado bans
I'm
LC.
backing Ian.
Nope.
I'm backing Ian.
It's 2 Bravado, 2 Ian, right?
Can't
Yeah,
stand
it's
this.
like
We'll
on the
see. We'll
middle.
see after this, guys.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's see if they ban LC.
I'm not even worried.
Yeah, if they ban LC, I think Ian might have some issues, but I mean,
Aren't you a Bravado player?
he's an ex-Bravado and
Bravado
ex-Ian
player.
player.
Come on, guys.
And he's
I was in energy first.
Turncoat. That's what you are. You're a turncoat.
Donnie's
so
loyal to Dota only.
really, is that how that
It's
works?
true.
I think it's more so Donnie's just loyal to Timbersaw. I think that's actually what it is. And he's in Dota, so therefore he plays. But anyways, enough of this, guys. Let's get serious. The drafts are in fact up. Gentlemen, do you think we'll see a tree ban?
Think so.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't
Tree
have
and
no
Coddle.
choice. Especially in a best of one. You do not want to play
Clock.
against Tree and Protector.
Clock first.
Clock, okay.
I think they don't. Like you said, what do you call it? Chelsea wasn't so comfortable on his clockwork, so maybe they just think the other team is better at clockwork. So they just bans it.
It also lessens the likelihood of a SF pickup as well, because
Yeah.
you can't abuse the clock cogs.
It's going to be LC or Coddle ban on Bravado, probably after the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends which one they must get
Energy,
off.
energy picks first, so do they ban...
Maybe ban Nyx. But no one picks Nyx. We discussed it. Like in SA, no one's really been using that hero
Yeah.
that much. Maybe Warlock. That's actually a hero we've seen
Yeah,
pretty much every
energy
single
or
game.
ban Warlock.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict this. Let's go.
I guess.
Let's go. If it's wrong, I'm out.
The thing is that what they can do is they can ban something else and then leave Warlock LC open.
Yeah.
Okay,
Darkseer,
GG, guys.
Yeah. Then you pick Warlock, right? And then
Well,
you know
no,
that
the thing is now you give BVD BVD has to make a pick. It's either
Yeah.
Warlock or...
There's a lot of heroes now in pool
Yeah.
that energy likes to play. So yeah, they've been playing. They pick Warlock almost every time, right? And they like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Strike,
well, I
yeah.
mean, Strike was
Yeah.
huge work.
BVD doesn't really play LC though. 225 not really
that's
one
true.
of his favorite heroes. So I think you can actually save in. You first pick the Warlock. You let them want to pick the LC. If they pick LC, you know how to play it. You can counter it out. And then if they don't, you pick it up in the second. But I think it's kind of risky going LC first because then you give away Warlock.
Warlock.
No, neither.
They've been first
neither,
picking
yeah.
Warlock.
Yeah,
or
so
LC.
I think they've been first picking Warlock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Warlock's
and
probably
it-
safer.
It's in Warlock LC in the first two. So I think it's just.
They've had
easy
lots
to
of more
play.
success with it there.
There you go,
Yeah.
Warlock.
They've seemed more comfortable with Warlock.
Yeah.
But
in
the thing
their
is,
lineup.
you can do more with the Warlock. Like
Mm.
Strike is always going to be available to you, whereas the LC might be a bit hit and miss.
So is this Chikiro for BVD? They looked okay when they played it.
What are they going to do? The same type of draft? Do you think?
I hope not.
I think it's going to be something similar.
Like all their drafts have been like around that style, right? Like
Yeah,
these
this-
they want to like take early towers and fight, but then they don't seem to, like, if it doesn't go well early, then it's like
They're
Yeah.
like, well,
Rip.
it seems like they don't. It's
DP.
Depth.
Here we go.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
That's-
Right up.
I actually like that. This was one of Soda's best heroes, I think, a while ago. Like, he was really playing amazingly on this DP hero. I'm wondering why they don't pick it more often for him. So,
He was known as the two hero player on
Yeah.
mid. He used to play DK and DP.
Yeah.
And if you banned that, you were fine against him. He was the most toxic mid player.
But this is also quite a big intro to this draft. I mean,
Yeah.
DP
It's
is a
brave.
declaration. You know, it's obviously a hero that does like quite well in team fights, but it's you kind of know what you're up against when
I'll
you're
see.
going
Oh,
into
nice.
DP.
it's a best of one hero, this DP. It's just like, whatever. We need to be able to,
Yeah.
like, hero that can win the lane more or less. Some silences, good ability to take towers off the fights. I think that's what we've been mainly seeing from Bravado as their main struggle. Like, they've been struggling to actually take objectives after they win big team fights. Either all their heroes are too low in HP or they just don't have the heroes to actually go forward. Now, with LC and DP, both are kind of showed up. DP can heal up in the middle of a fight. LC can heal up somebody who's just after that. And they can push with exorcism. So,
What's this
Sven.
Sven? Yeah.
Yeah.
But also this kind of scares me in the sense that they've picked two of the cores right off the bat. So
Yeah,
and these are
that
not
does-
flexible heroes.
Yeah.
It does commit them
Well,
pretty hard.
DP could be flexible if they want to do safe lane DP.
I mean, you could
Just
I
for the
mean,
memes.
theoretically you could run
Just
both
to
of
be
these heroes
meta with
safe
Eternal
lane,
Envy.
but I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy to know what's coming at you with those two heroes in
I
particular.
mean, the only thing here is like Death Prophet. The only person I've seen play that safe lane is actually Odu.
Oh, Eternal Envy.
Yeah.
He stole it. He's not original. the Sven Vic. I'm sorry, I just had to make sure. He's not a creative genius.
No, I'm just saying like in SA, the only one I've
Yeah.
seen run it is.
Yeah, they were the only ones brave enough to actually do something like that, I'd
Yeah.
say. That takes some balls.
Yeah, that actually beat White Rabbit Gaming pretty. It's pretty mental.
so VVD need to ban something. I don't know, something that keeps Sven alive.
I think he's probably going to start targeting Chosen One here.
There's so many mid heroes though. How do you like stop the mid with two bans?
TA,
I think you just ban like
and
TA and SF maybe.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that
Lena.
Lina's good too, actually. It's one of those heroes
Lina's
that
got
can
like
also
a
stand out the
low,
wave.
a very low % win rate
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the current scene. Like it's got so low, it just fell off completely.
Got nerfed into the ground. It happens. The frog dropped the hammer.
Yeah.
But I think they just need to ban out heroes that can outspam the DP mid. Like I think that's the last thing she wants to deal with. Like even if they give away a tier, I think they'd rather play against TA than something like Quap.
I like the Kunkka ban. Like imagine Krob running at you and then Kunkka
God.
ship on him and then you just can't kill anyone. It's gonna be so disgusting. Oh,
And
it's a good ban.
Coco Rum makes it a lot more difficult
Yeah.
too. So that's actually a really good ban. Do you think they go Dazzle on energy? I think they need a way to keep the Sven alive like continually in these fights.
I think they can have Warlock Dazzle. Unless maybe they can do dual lanes. I feel like they're strongest when they do dual lanes.
Yeah,
Like
also
it seems
think
like
they feel the
Chelsea's
same
not
way.
like a very conventional offlaner and needs like a lot of help.
Yeah.
I'd say like,
Yeah.
and when he does get help, he like does a lot. So I think they need if they can do dual lanes, that would be cool. I think that's what they should aim for.
It's a lot of heal as well, I guess, if you go with the Dazzle and the
Yeah.
Warlock. But I don't see that happening, to be perfectly honest.
Well, Dazzle would be safe lane, and then they did the Warlock
Yeah,
Alcy,
Warlock
right?
Alcy,
Yeah.
yeah.
but
they
they obviously don't
crushed.
have Alcy this time.
Yeah.
But like I mean, yeah, they can do another Warlock lane maybe.
Like
Warlock
the only
Axe.
thing with Dazzle Warlock is like it's a bit defensive in the early stages. Like you're not going to be making anything happen, and you ideally don't want Death Prophet to have the best lane. You like want to
Yeah.
put her under some pressure because once she
Ricky.
hits 6, she's going to start pushing.
Ooh,
What is
this
people
is
picking
great.
Ricky?
Yeah,
What's going on?
this is great actually. I
Deny
like
pick
Ricky.
maybe?
Possibly, yeah.
What does he play now?
I mean, that was a pretty sick Ricky. I'd be pretty scared of it. I mean, Krob is not a hero that you want to necessarily be playing against the Ricky. Smoke Cloud kind of owns this hero, so
Yeah.
taking it out.
And
is
Alcy,
nice.
like you chuck it on him, you can't do damage. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's missing.
A lot of silence as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a ton
This
of
is
silence.
this is weird. I really wonder what they're gonna pull out the hat for Podikins now. Like I have no idea what he's like
Earth
left to
Spirit.
play.
Earth Spirit, if they're really
If
keen.
Monkey King was still a hero, you could pick that.
If it didn't get nerfed into the ground
Yeah,
by the,
now it's
by
not
the
really a
frog.
hero.
Monkey King's one of
Someone's still going to pick that hero and just like find some build for it.
He's gonna
It's
pick
just,
Basher.
just as ridiculous.
He's gonna build Basher and he's gonna be like, oh,
Oh,
this
this
doesn't
was a
work
mistake.
anymore. Why did I pick this?
Because Jingu Mastery Basher, bro. Who needs the ultimate? Just buy AC and you're cool.
Damn. Oh.
Yeah, I think poor old Monkey King is... I think it'll be a while till we see him again.
No, there won't be ever.
What do you guys think of Tide this game?
For
Like,
who? Energy.
yeah. Like, just
Tide is being picked, but it's like very greedy, I would say, right? Sven wants to farm, Tide wants to farm. They both can take advantage of a lot of stacks. It's difficult. Honestly, it is.
I'm just
Slaughter,
trying to think
perhaps?
of. I don't know, but Slaughter could work actually.
Nix.
Nix.
Okay.
Wow,
Okay.
actually came.
Finally.
Is this Nick's
Eventually.
support, or do you think it's
Uh,
Chelsea? Nick's. I think I've only seen him play Nick's on their team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've not seen support Nix.
But I mean, I didn't see.
He is actually quite a competent Knicks
Is
player.
it?
Yeah, I remember playing with him back some time ago, and it was one of the heroes he felt quite comfortable on. And in fact, he often spoke about the type of hero he liked to play was the kind of thing that actually is active around the map, gets into a lot of fights. To be perfectly honest, I think that's probably one of the heroes that is best suited to him. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if that is in fact a offlane Knicks.
All right.
Good versus DP as well.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah. Scales very well.
Also, it's like it's kind of hard to zone this hero out when there's a Ricky in the game because you know Ricky's going to be roaming around. Like every now and then he'll be in the tri lane, but then otherwise Nyx Assassin can just sit there, get full regen, there's a ton of armor
Yeah.
as well. It's unlike
Nix
these
is very
guys.
difficult actually to lane against unless
Yeah.
you have they have to now. Their last two picks have to be good enough to solo harass Nix, right? So.
Yeah. And the nice thing is Nyx doesn't really need a ton of farm. Like getting early levels is really what he wants, and then he's going to start rotating. So that's where his
Yeah.
the problem comes.
Like I think as long as he has like the blink minus by 20, he's okay. Can deal with the rest of the game.
Minus players.
Yeah, man. Like
So let's just chat about the bans, Orc. We haven't gone over them too much. So just to run through them all: Clockwork, Darkseer, Kunkka, Troll Warlord, banned out by Energy Esports as well as the Trim Protector, Keeper of the Light, Lina, and Shadowfiend banned out by Bravado Gaming.
Shadowfiend and Lina are just like chosen one bands, right?
Yeah.
It is like that's like probably stronger heroes.
they're just
I-
spamming the spam from the mid lane.
Yeah, I think it's like they're willing to deal with the TA, but the other two they're just like, no.
Yeah.
We'll deal with the TA, but not the other two. Not at all.
I think
Like even the SF, I think might have been a little bit of overkill since he doesn't have the clock, and like it's not that SF is bad without the clock. It's just the clock makes it so much better in the early
Disruptor.
stages.
Clock makes it basically unbeatable
Yeah.
like in the mid lane.
They have a lot of silence.
They have a ton of silence. Wow.
They've
3
got a lot of
silences.
silence. That's
Jeez.
like that's like the biggest spell on all of these heroes.
Do you think this Disruptor was a preemptive Queen of Pain ban as well? Like you pick this hero up to making sure that energy is not going to be crazy enough to go Quap or Storm actually.
It's also decent against Sven, since Sven like wants to buy BKB, but like before the BKB, Disruptor can really screw with his positioning in fights.
Yeah.
Like you throw the hammer, fence. Now what?
Yeah. Definitely that's the case.
Like this is like so Alcy's off lane, Ricky's gonna be there. Who did they? I think Warlock's actually not there to support against Alcy in lane.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
not by itself.
you can't. like put the damage
Yeah,
dot
you
on
don't
him.
nuke him. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
like
he can just
slow.
take it off immediately, and bonds. So like he has to be. If he ever puts those two, it'll be pretty
Like,
rough.
the only way you can really do anything as a Warlock, you just have to to have really great lane control. Just make sure that the Sven is not necessarily too far forward in the lane and the LC doesn't get experience. But even that kind of hard. Like Warlock doesn't hit that hard versus LC, so she buys like Pro Man Shield. She's okay. Doesn't have to stress too much about the lane.
Very curious. Like I want to. They need a hero that can actually, that has kill potential on LC, right, and can help middle somehow. Because DP is gonna try and dominate the lane. DP is the lane dominator, right? So they need something top. There we go.
There we go.
They needed something that can move between the lanes and actually pressure heroes, give them kill potential.
And it gives him vision on Ricky.
Yes. Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
That's a good pick.
I really like the energy draft so far.
Also,
Like
this is a hero that can actually you can trade blows with LC. Like, oh, what's LC gonna do versus Spirit Breaker? She knows that's a hero like 1,000. Like it feels like a 10,000 HP when you start at level 1. He just hits you 10, and you're like, oh, okay, this thing doesn't die ever. Especially with the
It's like
shrine
what's
nerf
like
as well.
900 effective HP at level 1 or something.
Yeah, so something silly. It's crazy.
Ember's obviously an awful pick, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for either.
What do
lineup,
you think
it's not good.
BVD with an anti-mage here? Think it's too greedy?
Anti-mage.
That's
No, I
mage against Sven. That's crazy.
No, sorry, not for NG, for Bravado.
Against Sven. That's crazy.
But they've got ways to deal with the Sven though. Like-
yeah, but I mean, like, it's just like okay, if Anti-Mage gets items, right, then
Yeah.
he can blink in Manta, bash him to death, and he dies. But like, damn, early game, like 20 minutes, Anti-Mage is not a match for him.
No.
Dies in like
early
3-4 hits. Yeah.
Razor would have been so great. It would have been fantastic for Bravado, but that was actually a really good ban from Energy, I think. Imagine if they had Razor, what would Energy do? Like, how would they ever take team fights?
It's true. It has been picked up against Svens and Trolls.
We're looking for chosen ones here now.
No, we
No,
need mid for Energy and carry for BV.
I think his midlife is hard. There's not many heroes that are in there that are like good against laning against DP and would be good in the game. You know, like
against all these silences.
Yeah.
You can't go Storm or Quap. Like, these heroes are awful against Ricky and Disruptor.
Well, they can go, but it's just like it's like makes his life way harder, you know, than it has to be. So I would like to see the heroes if I could see the actual
Are they gonna-
like a tier.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, that's what we expected.
Yeah.
So it's not
it's like the best of what he
what's
had.
left.
Like,
yeah. It's like, what is he going to do? Pick I think maybe he was tempted to pick Invoker, but then he saw what's been happening to Invokers
Yeah.
lately, and he's like, nah, I'm good. Eh?
Yeah.
The problem is like also Invokers, like, until he gets the invis, like Ricky's gonna eat him.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so horrible.
It'll be just Invokers is in a rough place right now. I think
Yeah.
not the easiest hero to play.
Yeah,
So-
Chosen One's quite good at TA. It's one of his better
Yeah.
heroes, I'd
Yes,
say.
yes.
Ember,
This
TA, SF.
Slark.
Slark. That man, this is a good Slark game.
Yeah.
They have they don't have any instant lockdown.
They have Barra for him, though.
Well, they have
Barra's pretty
Barra,
good Slark.
but then like he's the only hero that can really lock him down without the Slark being able to get off the dark pack. Everything else, like you should be able to see the stun coming, get yourself out of it long in advance. So I don't know. Also, it doesn't the only burst damage they have is.
And Nick's gonna
Sven
like
and
look
Templar.
for Slark. I don't know. Like I think they've got a lot of kill potential on Slark, but obviously if they don't control him properly,
Yeah.
like he can go ham.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially like the TA is gonna have a lot of trouble against the Slark and the Sven later on as well.
Yeah.
Like BKBs are important on both those heroes.
Well, this has certainly been quite a fascinating draft so far. It's pretty interesting. I think I do personally prefer Energy's draft. What do you gentlemen think?
I'm in a fanboy energy, regardless of what they pick. They will win this game.
I'm still on this BVD hype train. I actually like this BVD draft. I really like Ricky Disruptor. Like I think they can wreak havoc in the mid lane. I don't think it's going to be the easiest. I think Spirit Breaker without Spirit Breaker, I would have been a definite Bravado win. Now it's like maybe 55-45 in my opinion, but I like BVD. I'm cool with this.
Traders.
I think Chosen One's gonna do the work in the mid lane. That Tia I think is gonna do some work, and then the Barra is really gonna set up for a lot of early game ganks.
It's gonna be like who does more, right? Ricky or Barra? Like that's
Yeah,
gonna depend.
basically.
Like because
Yeah.
I think DP will it'll be like evenish, or DP might be a bit ahead. But then it's like depends what Ricky and Barra do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be up to that.
Fully agree.
Well, let's see if our casters, Wilson, Triple XL, and Demonic agree. Gentlemen over on the casting desk, is there a particular draft you prefer?
I've
but,
got to be entirely
before-
honest, I much prefer the boys from BVD. I got to go with them. I'm sorry.
I can't
And it's
believe
not
you.
just because they have a disruptor.
Probably is.
And I would say the opposite. I would say, in fact, that I would most likely favor EN in this. They have really good,
Is it just because
Really-
of the Knicks?
really good answers. No, not just because of the Knicks. I think the Barathrum was actually a really key pickup in that draft, and they just have good answers for what BVD have to do here. So it's going to be an interesting game, that's for sure.
Well, gents, I guess since the game's already up, time for you to tap out and leave it to you guys. Have a good one.
Right, so these boys both need no introduction. This is a best of one. Everything is on the line for both the team of EN and of course the boys of Mikasa and company. Well, it's a classic, as they say on the panel. El Clasico.
Yeah.
Yep. And needing next to no introduction, let's start from the boys of BVD. Soda will be picking up that Death Prophet headed towards the mid lane. Mikasa's on that Riki, looking for a lot of action out of him. 225 is going to be picking up that Legion Commander. Down towards the bottom lane, RDK on the Slark. And last but certainly not least, Impact on his Disruptor.
And on the side of Energy Esports, we're going to have in that off lane Chelsea taking up one of his comfortable heroes in the form of that Nyx Assassin. We're going to have
Dance, baby.
Mr. Pottykins, one of the heroes that we're going to need to watch quite closely in this early game, taking the role of that Spirit Breaker. His movements are going to be really important for the mid lane. Chosen one on one of his signature heroes in the form of that Templar Assassin, going to be taking up the mid lane. We see Mikasa just already hanging around this rune, and Dreamy going to be playing, aka Odu, as they call him on the panel, which is one of his previous nicks, is going to be taking up the role of that Sven, and he's going to be supported by Strike here in the top lane.
Yep, it's some pretty classic stuff with a pretty classic draft, I've got to be entirely honest. A lot of these picks obviously sussed out in the panel, so not too surprising to see what we've come up with, except for maybe the Riki. The Riki gave an interesting spin, especially on a third pick.
Yeah, but it also gives a lot of the players in this game are on their comfort heroes. As they said, Soda used to be famous for this this mid DP. He has been known to do really well in this matchup, and actually does okay against the TA generally. So he should be. Ooh.
You did say it. Watch your eyes, keep your eyes peeled on Mr. Pottykins. He's basically going to set the pace of things in the earlier stages of the game for the side of EN. We're looking for those charges, just as you saw now on 225. Fortunately, nothing came of it, but it was certainly not too far off.
Yeah, and we can see the Ricky's already moving his way to the top lane to maybe try and harass out Mr. Pottykins a little bit, try and get some extra damage onto this, because 225 is having quite a hard time here. There are no sentries in the mid lane for Bravado Gaming, so should Mikasa actually decide to get a couple of hits in here, they may actually be able to do some work. He does have that Orb of Venom, and here comes the slow. Chosen one, now taking a lot of damage in this mid lane. This is not one you want to see early. Do they go any further? Oh, no.
Should be okay, but the matchup is quite one-sided in my book of Death Prophet up against this poor Templar Assassin. There's plenty of tick damage out there to chew off the refraction.
Yeah, and we're going to see Mr. Pottykins now coming in, trying to charge into the mid lane, gets spotted by Mikasa. Soda immediately knows that he's in trouble, starts heading back, doesn't manage to get off the anything else in time, but Mr. Pottykins taking a lot of damage there. So first rotation, spots it out, and that's going to make sure that Soda stays safe, and that's really important for him in these opening couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's basically these are the guys who are going to be setting the stage for the mid-game for both sides. We'll take a look and see a little bit closer to the time what exactly happens, but certainly C1 struggling away. I say struggling away, he's topping the charts at the moment in terms of last hits and denies. That is one really good way of measuring the success of the hero in lane. So far, so good, but we'll see what happens, how this cookie does come to crumble. Nyx Assassin towards the bottom lane. Let's talk about him. He's up against RDK and Impact.
Yeah, he's going to have to play this quite careful. Already has decided to go pretty much defensive in ability, second pickup on that Spike Carapace, and has one level in the Impale. So he's doing what he can here. Obviously, Nyx Assassin has one of the highest base regens in the game, so is able to hang out here quite freely and at least get some levels. RDK and Impact shouldn't be able to kill him too early. They don't really have too much burst until they get around sort of the level 4, level 5 area. Then I think they can definitely begin to think about going on this Nyx Assassin, unless they can get Mikasa down here, as Mr. Pottykins is coming in
way
hot
on 225. 225 would happily take a piece of him if he was level 6. Not really going to be the case, but wasn't exactly the wisest charge.
Yeah, perhaps going a little bit too far underneath the tower, but manages to get a little bit of harass. Mikasa is just standing around doing Ricky things, essentially, and
just sapping XP, helping himself to a little bit of the bounty that Strike and Pottykins have been hoping for. Unfortunately, Mikasa is going to reap just as much benefit as they do.
Yeah.
In terms of experience.
In terms of experience, and for now, that's already Macassa's interested in. I mean, they
Just like Chelsea in bottom lane.
yeah, pretty much just like Chelsea. If you can stop the other players and get some experience yourself, you are doing a good job as Ricky. And Strike trying to do a little bit of a stack/pull here, but not going to be successful as of yet. And Mr. Potikins now making an interesting rotation here into the Radiant side, is going to be able to pick up that bounty rune, but is spotted out by Macassa here.
Yeah, Macassa basically, I think he knew what he was going to do, but there was nothing really he could do about it ultimately. It's just, it's basically a free bounty rune. He just couldn't catch up.
And things oddly quiet here to start off with, to be quite honest.
It is quite odd, because usually in a best of one, people are at each other's throats, coming out with cheese strats, that sort of stuff, going for early ganks, early kills, early smoke rotations. We're not seeing any of that yet.
Yeah, I mean, especially with heroes like Ricky and Barathrum in the Spirit Breaker in the pool. Barathrum, obviously his previous name. They just, you expect a lot of early aggression. These are the heroes that are sort of 3 to 4 minutes into the game. They're going to be very active, and unfortunately, a ward immediately goes down, Mr. Potikins. Now, fully aware of what just happened and the fact that Macassa is now 100 gold richer.
Stalking him.
And these two have actually done more stalking of each other, I think, or Macassa's done more stalking of Mr. Potikins, just to make sure that he's not able to get that rotations out. And that's very much in favor of Bravado Gaming. If Mr. Potikins is unable to gank Soda, that's favorable for them in almost every situation.
Absolutely. And they are relying, in fact, on Spirit Breaker getting large by doing exactly that. Towards the bottom lane, though, Chelsea's dropping very low. A critical stun is going to keep him alive a little bit longer, but there's the glimpse. Chelsea in a spot of trouble. He's going to try and get it to the trees. It's not enough. RDK walks away with first blood.
Yeah, both these heroes now hitting level 4. They had enough burst, as I said, around level 4, level 5, we'll probably see them try to do it. And as predicted, that is exactly what happens. And they managed to pick up that kill. So Chelsea now are going to have to be a little bit more careful now. And but he at least has managed to get some decent experience in himself in the time that he's been able to get in this lane, sitting at level 5. So he's going to be pretty happy with what's happening. And we hear Chosen One is just having a little bit of a tough time here. He is managed to keeping up in CS, but unfortunately his health, Mr. Potikins.
Oh, Soda, the reinitiation is there. He's actually going to throw out Exorcism for this. I think that was a bit of a panic maneuver, but they might be able to translate this into something slightly more meaningful and go for a tower push. The only problem with that, of course, is that the shrine is being used up by C1 and Mr. Potikins. Strike is coming to join, as well as Chelsea. Chelsea not quite at level 6 yet, but does contribute in the form of a few stuns. There they go, and Mr. Potikins jumps on in onto Macassa. Macassa throws out the smoke bomb. Is it going to be enough to keep him alive long enough? No, it's not. Chelsea's actually going to walk away with the assist there, as it was basically a group kill.
Yeah, and I mean, he threw out the Exorcism, I think, because he had the very end of his Arcane rune, so he wanted to get a little bit of a decreased cooldown on that. So I'm not too upset about that.
Yeah.
So he should have that ultimate up in about less than 2 minutes time. And
But it does open him up to a little bit of problems here as Mr. Potikins jumps on in. Oh, Soda drops low. The word is there. Is it going to be enough to take him down? I think so. Fairly well,
2 ticks
good
left.
friend.
Yeah.
And it's all done and dusted. It's 2 for 1 here, 7 minutes 30, and it's a best of 1. Everything is on the line for the boys of EN and for the boys of BVD.
Yeah, that's a big kill, because that now puts Chosen One at a slight advantage in this lane, despite having a little bit of time, just because they were even on CS. So the fact that Chosen One now has been able to get a kill.
Mikasa getting spotted out, and this is exactly what they should be doing. Spot out the Riki as best you can. Bring some dust to the party. There we go. That should do it. No, Shadow Word now about to wear off. Incoming comes Soda. And Mr. Potikins dropping low. He's slowed down. There's nothing he can do. And it's all done and dusted. Impact is actually here with his friend 225, who managed to pick up a nice little duel. It's not going to be enough to secure the duel victory, but it might be enough for the kill unless Chelsea comes in from the right-hand side. Throws out a fantastic stunt to disengage the fight and save his friend yet again. 2 for 2 ultimately at 8 minutes 20.
Wow, I mean, what a sequence of plays, and
Team
ultimately
play.
everyone just walking off a little bit battered and bruised, but doing okay. Mr. Potikins coming in again. Soda is overextended by a long way. His team has left him here, and he has to get the hell out of dodge. Unfortunately, Mr. Potikins not being able to get that RNG bash that Spirit Breaker is so famous for, and Soda just being able to walk away. But sitting at 2-2, I mean, I think both teams are fairly okay with what's happening in this game at the moment. They're both getting good farm on all of their cores. I mean, RDK, who's just been sitting quietly farming bot lane, is slowly getting quite huge, already working his way, sitting at 4k net worth. I mean, he's already 400 ahead of this Fen, and heading towards that Shadow Blade, which is going to be a huge... I mean, that's when he starts to roam and can start to pick off the heroes like the Warlock and in the enemy jungle.
Extremely strong. Out comes the Sentry. There goes the Observer in the mid lane. And I'm fairly certain that the call will be to push fairly early. Death Prophet is a specialist in doing so, thanks to the damage to towers that her Exorcism does. And I suspect this might be spelling trouble for the side of EN, especially since behind them, Mikasa is sitting and laying in wait. Is it going to be enough? We shall see. Out comes the fortification on the tower. The charge is already called onto Soda. Soda's already taking a bit of damage from the Link. Nope, that's it. The call is cancelled, I suspect.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just try again. Striker just doing what he can. Chelsea is here under inverse.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that the sentry ward is right there. He will know it now, as soon as the spirits come to touch him.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I think a range creep did one attack against him, which might have been
Giving away the golden goose.
given away the golden goose. These sentry wards are just out of range of each other, which is pretty unfortunate. And
Oh, 2-for-1 special for Strike as he gets not one but two sentry wards by placing down just the single one. Smack bang between them. Yep, they definitely must have known that some true sight was available there in the mid lane. A lot of posturing, 10 minutes in, only 2 for 2 at the moment.
yeah, pretty slow mid game. I think Bravado are going to be a little bit sad that they haven't managed to get any sort of objectives out of their first 2 Exorcism. That's a little bit slower. But obviously, Exorcism gets better as you go up in levels. The first level of Exorcism can be a little bit...
Underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming. It's really the second and third levels where DP starts to really kick things into gear. And now with the level on silence, you know, that could also make a difference. There is a significant amount of silence on the side of Bravado Gaming, which is something not to be underestimated either. They have 1, 2, 3 different ways of silencing heroes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they have no way to silence the crumbling tower in mid lane, which is exactly what Soda was endeavoring all this time to do. I think that Energy Esports are okay with it, but it is going to cost them a little bit of map control if they're not careful and they keep giving it away. It is going to turn very, very ugly very, very soon. Although it must be said, in terms of net worth, this is neck and neck. 100 gold between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest net worth difference at the moment, I'd say, is between the 2 offlaners, sitting at about 1,000 gold between Chelsea and the Legion Commander. So, Legion Commander is actually busy dueling with the Partykins at the moment. Maybe in a little bit of trouble if Dreamy decides to stun. The bash does go off, but the glimpse manages to glimpse Dreamy back. And unfortunately not going to be able to get the kill. Chelsea is around here, though.
If Chelsea was there just a moment sooner, maybe the stun would have been enough to wait out the kinetic field and finish off the kill. I gotta say, this I think is his second time he goes invis here. Good old Chelsea, and nothing yet to show for it for the most part, other than the 1 assist.
And unfortunately, while that was happening, a failed gank on Chosen One. He managed to get his meld off milliseconds before the Ricky got off the smoke. So being able to dodge that gank with the fact that they had no true sight was really good for him. But he did have a shrine right next to him if need be. Oh, actually, the shrine's done. So clutch little play from Chosen One to keep himself alive there. And there's a lot suddenly people are starting to get active. I feel like they've now starting to get their core items up. We've got the Mask of Madness on the Sven heading towards a Blink Dagger. We're really close to
there's your glimpse. That's what she was looking for. She's silenced. She's going nowhere. Double silenced, actually. A bit of a mistake, but it all matters not as Impact walks away with the kill onto C1, and that is exactly what a Disrupt is for. Force them back by aggressive maneuvers, and then pull one of them out of position. Then engage, and make sure they cannot re-engage because of your silence from your static stall.
I was about to bite my tongue and say something far too soon, and that Chosen One is very close to getting that Blink Dagger, so he should have it at any moment now.
Oh, you didn't even say it and you jinxed him. Nonetheless, Potikins going in for the charge. Soda the target. There's your kinetic field. Down comes the rock. It's good enough. Soda is going to go down before the Spirits can really do much of anything. He does what he can to try and stay alive, but in comes the rest of the team. RDK picking them apart. 2-2-5 going for the duel. The duel is not a victorious one, but it's still a kill. Nonetheless, in comes Mr. Potikins from the sidelines. He's going to book himself a kill on 2-2-5 as a response. Mikasa trying to make the escape. If he sticks around too much longer, he will go down.
Yeah, Ricky's on absolutely no hit points here, but Mr. Potikins does have a charge now available if he can find a hero. He has to switch his trade. He has dusted. He's found Mikasa.
He dusted Mikasa without even knowing it, and boom, the bash does it. Ah, that's unfortunate. 17%. Come on.
Oh, Mr. Potikins, you cheeky little bugger. Hey, I mean,
In case anyone's wondering why I say 17%, come on. Look at that percentage. It's 17% chance of actually getting that stuff.
he looked at the hero, just looked at the hero and managed to get a bash. What an incredible dust as well. Just knowing that Mikasa is still somewhere around there trying to provide the vision, and knowing that he was on so little HP. Beautiful play coming out from Mr. Potikins, and suddenly he's got his earned treads, and at 14 minutes, that's a pretty rich Spirit Breaker actually. He's going to be very happy with the way things are going.
Well, Spirit Breakers largely responsible in the earlier stages of the match for setting up the kills across the globe, since that charge is global. However, if he has this much money, how can he capitalize on it?
He can generally, now you'd probably head towards a Shadow Blade. Being able to get the invis initiation with the charge onto someone is so devastating to an enemy team. You know, being able to do that onto Soda, and Soda not being able to react to what's happening around him, allows them to get off his full combination. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Potikins slowly heads towards something in that sort of idea. But 2-2-5, unfortunately, no duels won as of yet, which is
2 attempts, I think.
at least, I think I've seen at least 2 to 3 attempts, but for the most part, he's just been not getting the right people. And in that case, the Warlock Golem was actually just wailing on him. So he was very close to actually almost losing that duel the last time he tried.
Yeah, but there was a good chance. RDK was working with his pal, making sure that he could do what he does best and just slowly but surely butcher people apart. Dreamy, in the meantime, jumps on in with a Mask of Madness and just books himself a tower for nothing.
And oh, actually, Templar Assassin did have the blink queued up, but deciding to go for that Desolator. So he's about 500 gold from it, actually 400 gold from it. He's actually really close to getting it. So a little bit late from him, but he did decide to go some trades and an Aquila first. So not the worst. And
the Smoke Gang splits the team in two, and good old Yellows stuck at the bottom. That's Mikasa towards the mid lane. The fight is on. They do manage to find Death Prophet. Death Prophet trying to make a hasty escape. Nice little ulti to try and save her. Life comes out from the good old little impact, but that's the end of that. They both go down. No hope and no soul left in that. 7-4, 16 minutes in. The Golem up. They might just go for a tier 2 push here.
yeah, I mean, that's 2 heroes dead for 15 seconds. You've got your Sven around his... Is actually going to TP. No, cancels his TP. So deciding to... The tier 2, obviously, a bigger objective than the tier 1 at the moment. And Dreamy's going to be able to hack away this tower quite easily. RDK is going to be able to pick up this T1, most likely in the top.
It's a consolation prize after 2 deaths.
It is a constellation prize, but RDK is still pretty far. I mean, he does TP in here and is trying to look for a pick, but Dreamy, he might be able to get... Chelsea's actually behind him if he decides to leap.
Yeah, this is a problem.
Oh, he left it to
Chelsea tanks it up for him. Beautiful play there. Now RDK has to try and make a hasty escape, but Chelsea stalking his every move. There is the stun, but RDK very quick on his fingers and very, very good on his prediction. Dark Pack pops at just the right moment.
That's such good knowledge from Chelsea to know that the Slark was probably going to try go for your Sven in that instance, and being literally sitting right behind him, so that the Slark that managed to do exactly what happened there, get the hit and then try the pounce. He in fact caught Chelsea, because if he caught the Sven, that was an easy kill for him, and it would have been a huge kill. So I mean, RDK must be fairly upset about what just happened. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but that would have been lovely to have. Let's put it that way.
Most certainly. Well, 225 still desperately looking for that opportunity to pick up some damage. What are the ramifications for this Legion commander if she does not find those duels?
Oh, man. I mean, she is ultimately going to be a reflector, I think, at the end of the day for Sven's damage. Once she gets to Blade Mail, she needs to be taking a lot of damage herself, but dealing a lot of damage back in the same direction. And that could work.
Mikasa actually getting spotted out almost psychically by the sentry ward on the sidelines here. The dust is popped as well. In comes the charge from Mr. Potikins. Oh, he's actually going to get dueled up here. Do they manage to finally get her a bit of duel damage? No, but they do manage to pick up the kill at the very least. It's going to be a duel-less game for 225 at this rate.
Put 225. That turns
Doing
out
everything right. She's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah. But it turns out that that's just a very difficult hero to go on because Spirit Breaker has such high base armor.
Very tanky.
So it's just a very tanky hero, and not really. I mean, he's got nine armor to begin with.
They spot out Chelsea under the sentry ward here. Thinking maybe Chelsea. Nope. He smells a rat as well. Plus, there's another sentry ward inside lane just for Mikasa in case. I must say, the play between the two Invis heroes has been quite phenomenal this game.
Yeah.
They've been playing a strange little game of tic-tac-toe with their sentry wards and dust. That's actually turning out to be quite entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of been a little tic-tac-toe 3 in a row as they sort of circle around each other, trying to get the ideal spot for these wards and vision. And Mikasa, I must say, has done an excellent job so far this game in providing his team everything that he needs to in terms of vision and the warding. And Soda just needs to picks up that Veil first, so no survivability item for him as of yet. He needs to start working towards, that Yule Scepter, which is pretty much, this is quite an old build for Death Prophet, but effective nonetheless, being able to use yourself and keep yourself alive while your ulti just destroys everything around you. And I wouldn't be surprised if almost a straight into Octarine, maybe even a Shivers after that, which could be pretty good against the Sven.
Let's talk impact for a moment here. And Disruptor, usually a very high impact hero with very, very little. But this is a very poor Disruptor. Level 9 with nothing but arcane boots and a few wards to his name.
Yeah, but he has the levels. So he's got his level 4 clips. That's ideally what you're looking for on any Disruptor. Plus Static Storm is good at all times of the game. Just because of the silence ability. Ooh, do you hear a charge?
I do hear a charge, and it's headed for bot lane. And the unlucky recipient of that will be 225 as he's being also stalked by Chelsea. Is he going to survive this? I doubt it. There comes the ulti from Potikins. They're absolutely beating him up. Oh, my dear, that final bash. Is it going to be enough? Nope. Strike is going to do it for everyone. And Potikins walks away with the kill. RDK, unfortunately, standing in the way. But he's actually going to find himself a pick-off in the form of Strike. In the meantime, the charge continues towards the mid lane onto Soda. Probably they've heard over TeamSpeak, guys, you left someone behind, and I'm actually dead. Unfortunately, you might want to abort this fight. Oh, RDK coming on back in. He gets a great pounce, but it's not quite great enough to bust down the charge. There is something out there, though, that can bring him back, and he does. Impact, bringing it in, bringing it home with that Disruptor. RDK walking away with the kill, and Impact with a fat smile on his face.
And Wilson with a fat smile on his face, just because he loves seeing Disruptor glimpse plays.
Where do you think you're going?
And a beautiful one coming out. I actually wondered where he went. He just sort of disappeared off the map. I saw that he earned himself and he looked like he was feeling pretty comfortable about things, and suddenly that Mr. Potikins just disappeared off the map thanks to
neighbor.
into Impact. And now Soda, now that he's got that level 2 ultimate, they can begin to start pressuring these T2s. We've got Mr. Potikins, now he's alive, coming back out. It looks like they might want to reinitiate here. And Sven's ulti's up in 10 seconds, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yep, so out comes the stun. It's only to clear out creeps. RDK goes on in. He manages to kill Strike before he gets a chance to do anything with the help of the silence of the Impact. And, oh dear, Mikasa almost going down immediately. He is actually visible. He will be going down if he's not careful. Nope. Managing to walk straight into tower vision. I think that's the end of Mikasa here. No, it's not. Now it is. There we go. Just moving his corpse before he goes. That's the best he could do. Oh, Impact, so close to surviving. Does get stunned up on the way out. And that is the end of that. So it's a 1-for-2 trade, ultimately. 10-8 is the scoreline at 23 minutes in, with a 2.8k net worth lead for the boys of EN.
Yeah, and Bravado Gaming just not pushing the ultis, trying to get that tower. They did significant damage to that T2. Unfortunately, the disengage was a little bit messy, but they are not going to be too displeased with that. Unfortunately, as a result, with those 2 support heroes down, this is going to be Ian's chance to take the Roshan.
Yep, and I'm not sure there's anything that they can do about it, this side of BVD. It's strange to actually say those words, I gotta be honest. I'm still getting used to it, but here we go. 225 being initiated upon. Down come the rocks. It's not gonna be enough to catch RDK, but at very least they walk away with 225. 225 having a very, very rough game. So that's an Aegis and an ulti down. Well, not down. Well, Aegis taken, a pick-off taken, and EN looking very strong. The rock is up and going. This is the moment to finish off that tier 2 tower and potentially higher ground.
They might think about high ground. The DP ulti's down.
Someone's
It was
still
used
stuck
for
up.
that tower.
It's RDK. There we go. He does have a TP though, so he's probably going to get called back as the mid tower is slowly but surely melting away. Oh, pulled back will be C1. Oh, but he manages to get an amazing blink out. Nicely done.
Yeah, turns out refraction pretty good for stopping damage and being able to keep that blink dagger up. Mikasa, this is outside your
dire.
base, friend.
Yeah.
That's the enemy team, not yours.
Yep, Dreamy jumping on in onto Impact. Impact has very little contribution left other than this kinetic field. That's going to trap in C1. He's going to go down. Down goes the Aegis. That means Potterkins is tanking all the world. And finally a win on a duel for 225. Dreamy jumping back on in, but he doesn't have anyone to right-click. There we go. Down comes the Death Prophet. And no, he doesn't get the chance because Soda just finishes him off with the final little tick of damage from the Exorcism. The high ground is defended. The net worth is changed completely around. 10 to 12, 25 minutes in. Midrack still standing. The chase continues, in fact. RDK going after Strike. He is going to find that kill. The next chase is after Chelsea, but they don't have a way of spotting him.
Yeah, RDK has picked up that silver edge, so it does have the break. Not particularly useful this game, unless, I mean, you can break the bash, the Spirit Breaker bash.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's okay.
But I mean, ultimately, it's just more stats for RDK, who's now going to work towards that BKB, which is a huge pickup for him. And he's doing really good work in these fights. Between him and the DP, they almost instantly managed to kill that TA in the kinetic field. And suddenly Chosen One had to get the hell out of dodge there more than anything else. If they actually had a sentry in that mid lane, they would have killed him a second time too.
Mikasa sapping away yet more experience from Dreamy as he picks up a tiny little camp of Ancients. He's just desperately trying to find himself some items, but look at the blocking that's going on here. Beautiful work from Mikasa, and that's exactly what he's meant to be doing.
Yeah, he's just been an absolute annoyance this entire game. And not allowing the Sven, who really likes stacks and that kind of thing, just not allowing him to get that advantage, that flash farm that he really wants. And as a result, sitting third on the net graph. Soda is quite far behind. He definitely needs to pick up his next item, and by the looks of it, that's going to be an interesting pickup, actually, in the form of a Solar Crest? Lotus Orb, sorry.
Okay, what's he concerned with? The charge.
No, it is. No, sorry, I lied. It is a Solar Crest. So
Solar Crest.
Getting armor. Well, DP has terrible armor as a hero in general. Sitting at just 13, she's not the best against physical damage heroes. Maybe the idea is to almost in the way that Burning plays his Vengeful Spirits, and that you try bump up your carry. In this case, it's RDK who's dealing.
Oh dear, RDK, who is taking a piece out of Sven. Sven, oh no, he was almost out, and then immediately the glimpse breaks that TP. 225, finally finding himself yet another duel, 28 bonus damage. He's going to be very, very happy about that, but I'm ecstatic about that blink. Sorry, about that glimpse.
Yeah, another beautiful glimpse play coming out of Impact, and they're finally having...
How the hell is he getting around the map so fast? He doesn't even have his mobility items yet. Just the right place, right time, eh?
Having a boot is fine. You can walk too.
I usually insist on having a blink or a 4-star.
You don't always have to use public transport, Wilson. Sometimes you can just have a nice afternoon walk and get a casual glimpse to
lovely stroll.
Kill a Sven, and that's probably going to mean a T2 here for the side of BVD. Pretty happy. They're going to be pretty happy to finally take down this tower.
They're going to fortify a tier 2, which means that for the next few minutes, they will not have a fortification available in case they need it for a high ground push.
Yeah, they do have
Bit
a
of a
Warlock
mistake.
ulti, so I think for high ground, they'll be fine at the moment. Their high ground defense is quite
So
disgusting with the Nyx and all the dust happening all over the show here.
And Chelsea's dodged them all so far. He's going to keep stalking them as best he can. He's looking for what I suspect is RDK, but I don't think he's going to find him.
Was that 3 dusts that I saw popped? It was the Warlock?
2, I think. Still incredible.
Yeah,
And Chelsea
amazing.
knew it was coming so much so that he stepped well out of the way. Soda being stalked. Are they going to try and make a move? Out goes. Oh, the stupid damn haste. It doesn't matter though. Oh, Sven comes in with the final little right click. Beautifully done. That's done, keeping her locked down despite the haste rune. And that's the end of Death Prophet. And it might be the end of this mid-Rax if they're not careful. In goes 225. He's going to go for the duel immediately onto the Warlock. It's a mess as RDK jumps on in, gets a hell of a lot of Duke damage. 225 goes down though. He's out of it. He's done. RDK still fights on though. He's going to take down Mr. Bodykins. Then Dreamy turns around, goes for the kill there. Mikasa now getting targeted by C1. Impact's glimpse not going to be enough to keep him alive as Mikasa hits the deck. RDK now stepping in the front lines, trying to say, guys, stop, hold on, you can hit me, just don't hit my base yet. And it's not going to be enough as he has to back it out. He cannot afford to die. There's the blink out from C1. Is there a glimpse of follow-up? No.
Oh, man. So 1 buyback coming out of Mikasa. They've managed to hold on to the DP buyback. She still has those if need be, so that's really important.
Oh, cheeky. Look at RDK. He TPs into the shrine on the sidelines there. And Dreamy's there. He's going to get caught by RDK. Still, RDK's got a lot of resistance to deal with here. C1 and Dreamy now turn around, going looking for him. Oh, no. Chelsea's actually caught on the sidelines by Mikasa and Soda, who was supposed to be the backup. And they're actually going to pick up Chelsea for next to nothing. Dreamy now shining up with C1. RDK is there. He uses his ulti to stay invis. There's a nice duel on sidelines. Finally another duel victory for 225. The fight is broken out. It's beautiful. And Dreamy's fighting it out, but he's going to go down before he gets a chance to do or say anything else. Mr. Bodykins trying to get around to the back lines, trying to take down Impact and take him out of this fight. Strike trying to make it a huge escape, but it's not going to happen as 225 is just too quick at his feet, and he takes down yet another kill. Soda has done what he can. RDK have done what they can, and they've gone with a full team wipe.
No buybacks on energy, Wilson. They currently have no buybacks. DP ulti was not used in that fight. They've got 40 seconds to hail on this base. That is going to be at least 1 set of racks. If the ultimate is going to come out, that's only a level 2 ultimate, but in the meantime, bon appetit. That is a set of racks. First set of racks going the way, not of Energy Esports, but to Bravado Gaming.
What did I say? What did I say, boys? I told you these guys have got the teeth and the stones to back it all up. Now the question is, can they capitalize any further than just a single racks? Unlikely, as we're 4 seconds on the Warlock, 4 seconds on Templar Assassin, and only 8 on Sven. So they're going to have to call the back, but what a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, they're going to use the rest of this DP ulti just to get the shrine, which is perfectly fine. That's a free gold in the bank of the BVD side. Suddenly, I'm sorry, that was very exciting. My heart is pumping, and man, RDK is doing such work in this game. Just incredible play coming out of this slot.
What a disgusting slot he's playing, and by disgusting, I mean disgustingly good. He's having a field day.
Oh man, I wasn't, that whole team fight at the start, I wasn't exactly sure who was catching out who. If RDK caught out Dreamy, or if it was Dreamy and the TA that in fact caught out RDK. But
gone anyway.
It could have gone anyway, but luckily both teams just hauling themselves towards those heroes. And Mr. Bodykins doing what he could with the backline, but ultimately the beautiful placement of the Disruptor ulti on the high ground there at the shrine just turned out to be a huge play coming out of Impact, and suddenly team wipe and a racks down.
Yep, definitely a tragic set of affairs for any Energy Esports fans out there. It was looking so promising, and then everything went wrong in just one single fight. Gem up on Nyx Assassin. That's going to give Mikasa one hell of a headache. And RDK, if he's relying on the Silver Edge to escape, he's not going to get the chance. So there's the stun, there's the mana burn, and C1 is just butchering him. Oh, there's the ulti though. Oh, he uses the Melt Strike to finish him off the back of the range creep.
Oh no, that is a disgusting little play coming out of Chosen One. using a deny to get a kill, if I'm not mistaken. That's
No, it was like a last hit, but on side blades.
So that's a trick that we saw the other day. I'm sure it was in the Manila qualifiers. I forget which team it was. I feel like it was Mid1 from Team Secret that also did exactly that. But I mean, that's the power of side blades. No matter what you're hitting, it's
Whatever's behind it is going to get hit.
Yeah, and it ignores armor as well. Fun fact for those that may not know that. Is that side blades for
Fun
anything that
for
gets
some, painful for others.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, as someone that plays Disruptor quite often, Wilson, I'm sure you know exactly how painful it can be.
I definitely do. Chelsea's actually going to spot out Mikasa. Yeah, Mikasa doesn't know that he can be seen because Chelsea's got that gem invis in his own inventory. Oh, but a beautiful silence is going to split up the fight there. He's going to buy Mikasa just a moment more time. There's the dust. Is it going to be enough? No, he gets lifted. Oh my dear, what teamwork from Soda.
Wow, what a disengage! I mean. That's losing another hero there.
That is teamwork, guys. That is beautiful teamwork.
Yeah.
That's how you play this game.
Losing another hero there after losing RDK might have been a set of racks for them. They could have just easily swapped into the middle and 2 or 3 shot of racks with the Sven. But now with Rosh up, not deciding not to take it. RDK already on his way. He knows that this Rosh timer is very soon. And yeah, they know we could see some exciting things happening here in the next minute. I think both teams are fully aware that this rush is happening, and we might have a fight on our hands, Wilson.
Chelsea goes on in invis, scouting out the zone. I think he just misses... Yep, he does. He just misses Impact, but Impact's got some vision here. 225 will be able to spot him immediately. Oh, he jumps in, and suddenly Chelsea calls panic, says, guys, I'm visible here. Something's up, and they know, I know, we know, everyone knows what's going on. What's next? There's the charge. Mr. Partikins initiating the fight, and in comes a rock golem. Beautifully done, and the fight is outside Rosh. It couldn't be better than this. Slark getting stunned up whilst invised up is a serious problem for him. He's going for the leap up onto the higher ground to make a hasty escape because his friends are dead. Mikasa and Soda both down. Very serious problems for the side of BVD. Are there any buybacks? There are, in case they want to push off the back of this.
Yeah, buybacks are available for both the heroes that are down. Oh, no, actually, Ricky doesn't have buyback. But
okay, other than Ricky.
I don't know. Neither heroes have buyback. To be honest. So
oh yes, there we go. Yes, Soda. No, it's a fat red no for him.
But I don't think he wants.
Know.
I don't think he wants to. It's DP buyback is a little bit lame. It's a bit meh. You know what I mean? If he's used his ulti already, what is he going to bring to the team fight? So he's just going to have to sit that one out and play it through. And
well, then why aren't EN getting aggressive here?
I think they're just going to go back, wait for. They've got some time to kill here. They used the rock to win that fight and get the Aegis. So now that the ultimates are off cooldown, they've got a little bit of time to spare. They've got some time with the Aegis. Wait for that rock to come back up. You know, wait for Nyx Assassin to maybe do a little bit of scouting with his ulti first off, so they can get a nice pick off, and then you push high ground with the Aegis in the next sort of 2 to 3 minutes or so.
Yeah. So just a quick covering question here. I mean, we've seen Chelsea being incredibly active across the map. It's clear and evident to see that this gem is really paying its dividends. It's allowing us to catch Mikasa as he is, again, with his pants right down around his ankles. And that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the fight, because once Mikasa gets jumped on, he's always in serious, serious trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said, it's the Nyx
spells serious trouble for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and the Nyx Assassin, I mean, as I said, they share similar roles with the Vendetta and Mikasa, but the fact that the Nyx Assassin now has a gem where Mikasa doesn't is a huge advantage, because now he can just follow him around and be able to pick Mikasa, and Mikasa wants to be able to give vision to his team. Yeah. So the fact that he's not able to do that is it's going to slow him down and what he's able to do just so much, and that's exactly what we're seeing at the moment. But they're still in a slight advantage. Maybe. I mean, Soda needs to get another item, I feel. He is, in terms of net worth, beginning to fall a little bit far behind here compared to the rest of the other cores.
Yeah, quite understandable. You know, I feel like the world's topsy-turvy. In a best of one, usually becomes a bar brawl.
Yeah.
This is not. This is what the games should have looked like in the best of three. In the best of threes, those were bar brawls. Everybody throws everything at each other, constantly buying random items, doing all sorts of things. And this one looks more like a surgeon taking a scalpel to something.
Yeah, in order to save a life, obviously, and not to harm it.
Of
but
course. Well, that's the Hippocratic Oath.
Exactly, and
Or the hypocritical oath. Either way. Anyways, thoughts on doctors aside, the game is certainly very, very clinical, very, very clean, and it's full of little examples of just what Dota means. 5 guys working very well together.
yeah, and Spirit Breaker actually picked up a Black King bar, which I'm not against either, just to be able to get the hell out of dodge, and or get the hell out of the silence.
Used
if
it
need
already.
be. Yeah, has used it at least once, and so I enjoy that pickup. I think that's Shadowblade or BKB. That's perfectly fine for him, and Sven doing good work. He does have a Crystallis sitting in his backpack instead of his cheese. He's now reached the point where he has to think about what items he actually wants on himself as we head towards the late game. Well, I say late game. It's only 40 minutes in.
Is it just me, or do these games feel longer than they are?
Oh, absolutely. But we have to talk for a lot of them, Wilson. So
That's not a problem. I love this stuff. I love my job, as people can attest.
Oh, absolutely.
So in comes the charge. It's not going to connect onto anything. It's immediately cancelled. I think they sensed that as a bit of a bait. Let's see what Chelsea manages to scrounge out. Doubt it's going to be easy, though.
No, he's
No. Okay, all right. They're going to settle for a shrine.
yeah, free shrine. That's easy pickings for them. So there are now no shrines left on the map. No,
There's 2.
there's still 2. Surprisingly, the unimportant shrines are the ones that have actually been taken so far.
Yeah, usually you're worried about these shrines towards this side of the map because they provide excellent TP points for you to engage on a Rosh fight and help secure yourself a nice, favorable situation when engaging on a team fight.
That is exactly it. You want the ability to be able to TP there and get to a team that's busy rushing is a huge advantage. So, and it's generally once you have the shrines and the ability to take them down available, those are the shrines that you generally want to go for first. But the game just hasn't really worked out that way. We do have a smoke coming out of Bravado Gaming here. They are on the shrine on the high ground. Aegis has just been reclaimed. This could be a huge fight, Wilson.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like it's almost wasted. Does it feel like EN has been trying to avoid a fight or find a fight? That's the question.
I'm not sure if they were waiting for an item. I mean, Bloodthorn is up on the TA, so she's
Look how
looking.
scared Chelsea is.
She's looking so massive, but I actually think Energy are a little bit scared here. I mean, they are 1 racks down, and that's always a slight worry for them. They have no T2s either, so should they lose another fight, they
will lose another Rax.
They are going to lose another racks, which is huge and not really what you want. They do most of them have their buybacks though, which is.
So I guess the question is BVD winning the psychological battle here? Is that what we're witnessing here? I mean, you can see the whole team of EN bunched up together, kind of holding each other's hands, going, "Go, don't worry, guys. I've got you. Oh, no, wait, I've got you." And the other side, sure, they're close, they're tight, but they're certainly looking more aggressive. They're looking like they want to find someone to fight.
Yeah, I mean, both squads just running around as groups of 5 at the moment, and it's also a result of sort of what happened. You know, like Mikasa got picked off a few times, Chelsea got picked off once or twice. So their roaming heroes are now reached the point where it's probably not so safe for them to be roaming anymore. As we see, Ian are actually looking to try to take a Rax here. My word, Chelsea does a lot of damage to that range Rax.
Well, yeah, C1 does do an absolute mountain of damage, and I couldn't agree more with the idea of putting him in the front lines with that Dragon Lance, of course, upping his attack range, making sure that he can attack from a relatively safe distance. Templar Assassin obviously not starting with the best of attack ranges, but being able to take a chip out of the ranged barracks from the staircase there is certainly far enough to make it a problem for anybody else to engage on you. And of course, if you do, there's the threat, the ever-present threat of the Warlock, followed up by the Sven right behind them.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what all we're going to see for the moment. I think both teams are. Oh no, I've just lied.
Eventually, the bar breaks and Disrupt is the man taken down. Chelsea picking up the right pick off there for them. Down comes the Warlock Golem. It's going to start off the fight. RDK dropping low. He's down, used up his ulti. And down goes 225 onto the sidelines. Mikasa buying back. 225 buying back. Everybody's buying back. And it's now time to have another fight or run like a little girls. And it looks like that's exactly what Ian is going to do. They're happy with having forced out 2 buybacks. Puts their net worth graph at a 10,000 gold net worth lead.
Yeah, and Cheese was used there by the Sven. He just got absolutely ripped by the Blade Mail, having to use that and then use the Cheese to then turn around on RDK, and RDK had to blitz out of there. But Mikasa
caught with his pants right down around his ankles by C1, but this might prove a reinitiation. No, it doesn't. 225 jumps on in there, but doesn't quite catch close enough for the duel.
And
It's only 42 duel victory damage.
only 42 dual victory damage.
Like,
does have that
what a-
Heaven's Halberd.
What a difficult game he's had.
Yeah. Imagine the difference if you'd managed to get those 2-3 early duels. You know, that's the difference between having 30 dual damage and 70 to 80 dual damage, or being able to get a kill in that stage of the game. And it shows you that those tiny little things in Dota, Wilson, end up making a huge difference now 44 minutes into the game.
And that's why, boys and girls, lesson here. You have to land some duels early on if you want to have a serious impact as a hard right clicker in the late game as a Legion. Now, plan B, which is basically what we're seeing here on this Legion, is slightly more utilitarian.
Yeah.
In other words, picking up the Heaven's Halberd, disabling a right clicker on the opposing side, and making yourself useful to your team like that. Now, Chelsea's going to spot out RDK here. In comes the charge. This is going to be a bit of a brawl. Out comes Chelsea. There's the stun. First stun, second stun, and immediately BKB'd and ultied out. Beautifully done, RDK. That's the way you do it. In comes another duel. It's a very risky one, but it doesn't matter. He's actually going to win it. 225 takes down Dreamy. What a chance. What an amazing stance. And Soda now throwing out as much magic damage as he can. Strike in the middle of it all. He's trying to survive. Up he gets lifted, and down he will go. As Soda takes yet another kill in the front lines, though. Mikasa's giving chase, trying to find space, trying to find someone who's lagging behind. Nobody's there, and everybody's getting back to base as the mid lane push is the call. 21 to 24, 45 minutes in. Could this be it? Could this be the moment that BVD kicks Energy Esports out of this tournament?
Sven does have buyback, so I imagine that they want to try and get that. But obviously, probably the bigger man on the table at the moment is that Roshan. Denying this Roshan from putting it on a Sven or a TA in one of these team fights is going to be absolutely huge. Having this on RDK, or I wouldn't be surprised. I imagine they're going to give it to RDK. Yeah, he's got the spot ready, so he's huge at the moment. And with that in the bag, he's going to be able to actually picks up the cheese. The Aegis goes into the hands
Well, he's not disappearing all that quickly.
of Soda, yeah.
I mean,
So-
that purge really working out very nicely for him, that Dark Pact.
Yeah, I actually like this. Like, RDK's not big enough. As you saw, they had 3 heroes on him there. And even then, he's tank enough and has enough physical armor, thanks to the fact that it's just a ridiculous agility hero.
What do my eyes show me here?
What do your eyes...
Is that an Aghanims?
Oh my! That is
Oh my.
in the words of our famous Mr. Hooley. Oh my! That is an Argonum Scepter. Interesting changes to that Argonum Scepter
Finally,
in
I get to
this.
see an Aghs on this patch.
So if the Legion Commanders
Spell immunity,
has
if I'm
now
not
been
mistaken.
changed, Dual Scepter now additionally grants spell immunity to your hero during duel. So this makes it pretty much gives him a BKB. While dueling someone. So with that in the bag, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, that's
It's basically like buying a BKB just for the dual part. It's
yeah.
having a free BKB. The problem is the stats aren't that great on that item. For
The
Legion.
argument is, why don't you just get a BKB?
That is the argument. Isn't
you know,
it?
you know what I mean. Sure, if you've got a BKB and need additional magic immunity, then sure, because then you can duel someone and then BKB afterwards, not have to waste your BKB. That I can understand, but maybe he's going Argonum just because he wants an Argonum Scepter. So sure, why not?
I think Aghanims is not a bad idea here.
it has a shorter cooldown than BKB.
Definitely a shorter cooldown, far more agile, let's call it. It's automatic. It's not something you have to worry about. It's not an
Yeah.
extra button your brain has to worry about and push before you go for a duel. Mikasa getting juked into a wonderful illusion, revealing both Mikasa and RDK's position. And the side of Ian will know exactly where they are now. Mr. Potterkins positioning himself in just the right spot.
Yeah, and tense times here. 48 minutes into the game. Slark now has a...
What's the plan here?
Eye of Scotty. Slow siege with the Aegis and Death Prophets, I think, is your... Or just go in and immediately die, perhaps.
Well, I don't think it was her choice, but here we go. Then down comes the rock on DK. BK beat up. He's going to try and do whatever he can, but he's tanking in the front when it should be the Death Prophet. Soda, in the meantime, needs to make an advance. He's not going to. Doesn't have his ulti available to him just yet. He's waiting to die first. Oh, my word. Sven finishing off the rest of the team before Soda has the chance to do anything. Huge stun coming through from the... Oh, down goes the gem as well on Mikasa. And that means Soda's going to get back up. That was perfect from the side of EN. That could not have gone better. They did everybody else and then finished off Soda, making sure that there is no hope that a turnaround exorcism can come to fruition for the side of BVD.
This is huge, Wilson. RDK does have buyback, and Soda has buyback as well. I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do against. Other than that, no one else on the side of... That's going to be at least a set, maybe even 2 sets of racks. I'm going to see that's going to be 1 buyback coming out of DP. She's not going to be able to stop anything against the physical damage of Dreamy and Chosen One. Chosen One's got a double damage activated as well. So these, oh my goodness, those buildings just absolutely melt. RDK's got to immediately buy back at BKB in, but...
Yep, he's going to give it his best shot. C1 is the target of his spells. And, oh dear, Dreamy, BK beat up. He's going to go chasing after Soda. Soda goes invis. It's good enough for now, but is he going to stay alive long enough? Impact going down into the back lines to Dreamy's cleave damage. RDK taking down Dreamy. There is a hope for this yet. C1 getting silenced up. Has to move on back. Does not want another piece of this fight.
This is
but he gets Yule set.
This is his buyback.
This could be the dieback they've been looking for. Spirit Breaker bumping on in, and it's enough to break up the fight by the looks of things, as Mikasa gives a hopeless chase for dragons that aren't there.
Oh my goodness, that was Chosen One's buyback. He doesn't have buyback for the next 7.5 minutes. Sven does have buyback here, but oh my gosh, this is getting so intense. I don't even know which way it's going to go at this point. I mean, you do finally have managed to take at least 1 set of racks on each side, so... Teams are now even in terms of how many buildings they have left standing in their base. But at the moment, it seems like RDK, if he can catch Chosen One without the Sven wailing on him, he can actually get that kill. And if they manage to do that, then energy starts to fall apart, actually. Chosen One is starting to deal a little bit less damage than I feel like he should be doing. He's obviously working towards that butterfly and trying to get that damage up. Most likely going to have to get rid of that Dragon Lance, I would feel. But what a tense situation.
What do we think of the burrow here for the Nyx Assassin, that Aghanim Scepter upgrade of his?
I mean, the long-range stun is really good, and the sort of the immunity and damage reduction, physical damage reduction, makes him a lot more tankier, but it's pretty much standard for him, and it definitely helps the high ground defense. So I'm definitely not against the long range stun for spamming out the waves and trying to do that kind of thing. So good pickup from Chelsea. I'm definitely for it. Let's put it that way.
Definitely. Well, RDK running around with double damage, but no one to wail on. Good old Roshan will only be back in the next 2 minutes. And there's so little that either side really want to do, because neither side wants to be responsible for throwing the game. It is tight, tight, tight here for both Energy Esports and for BVD. Neither side want to give up this bone. They're both Bulldogs fighting over the same bone, and they are not going to give up in this best of one. Neither of them are lacking the experience to take this late, to have the strong psychological mindset to keep on going, despite how dire and desperate the situation might seem.
Well, it must be said, Wilson, that this is the South African El Clasico, and this is exactly why. These are two teams that not only know each other well, but just have the talent and the depth to bring it to the late game, and that's exactly what we're seeing here at the moment. RDK is going to be working towards that Abyssal Blade, another big pickup, quite late for him, but deciding to go for all sorts of other items first. So I think for the moment, he doesn't have buyback for another 4 minutes. He might even decide just to finish that Abyssal Blade and perhaps get rid of his TP scroll instead of saving for the buyback. He does have some time to get some extra cash.
What's the plan here for BVD? Defend, hope to
You've got
have them make a mistake, or
you've got buybacks on
aggressive.
cooldown all over the show here, Wilson, on both the side of Energy and Bravado Gaming, and you don't want to lose a fight when your buybacks are on cooldown. So at the moment, we are just going to be racing away for the meantime. This has reached the point of the game where buybacks are absolutely essential. So if your buybacks are cooldown, you do not want to take a fight. And that's why they've been roaming around as these tight 5-man squads, just to make sure that everyone can get out if they're initiated on, or at least help out their team and stay as safe as possible.
Taking a look at those items: Bloodthorn, Butterfly, Desolator, BKB, Blink, Boots of Travel. What's left on the shopping list for Templar Assassin? Not all that.
A Moonshard.
much. I suppose, yeah, a Moonshard, and then pretty much you're there. Same story for the most part for Sven. A little bit of tweaking could go on, but not really all that critical. Chelsea, he's pretty much there as well. I kind of feel like we've reached our power band on the side of EN. They've got to make it happen. It's now or never, baby.
Yeah, they might think about getting rid of the Echo Saber at some point on the Sven and getting something else maybe. He actually was going to go I saw him going a Bloodthorn as well, but decided to change it out for that straight Daedalus in the pure damage, since they had the Bloodthorn on Templar Assassin already.
Take a look who's back and who dies so very quickly. Look at that. Rosh, fairly well, my friend. Drop all your delicious cheese and Aegis goodies. Let's see who's got the bigger steal here. Templar Assassin going to pick up the Aegis of the Immortal Cheese, I suspect, sitting on Dreamy. Yep. And the next call, I guess, is to push in. Probably bottom to try and equalize the fact that they're missing their bottom racks here.
Yeah, and that's still no heroes on the side of Bravado Gaming have buyback. That's got to be such a stressful situation for them. 3 heroes on the side of Energy Esports have buyback at the moment. So they are feeling it probably a little bit more comfortable. They've got the Aegis, they've got the cheese, they've got buybacks on their Sven, no buyback on their TA for the next 2 minutes. So they can at least afford to wait that out, then siege high ground. If they manage to kill the Sven or the TA, those heroes then have the option to buy back, TP back into that fight, knowing, obviously they don't know that BVD have buyback, but that's an opportunity where they may be able to just take this game entirely. So stressful situations all around.
If only they knew what we know.
Oh, if only they knew.
Sometimes you kind of feel like, oh,
this could be a huge smoke play if they find someone.
But somehow Mr. Potterkins and company have a good idea that something's up. They're all retreating at a very hasty pace towards their base, trying to keep themselves alive from the unknown khafar, as we say here in South Africa, the unknown danger.
Yeah, I mean, that's just unfortunately EN decided to exit stage left there and carried on up that left lane, and unfortunately stage middle was where EN was currently residing, but managing to catch no one, and the squad's now going back to their farming ways as 2-5 now has that algorithms completed. So we'll see if it's actually going to make an impact.
There's already an impact. I'm sorry, I'm kidding. Carry on.
At 56 million, yeah, sure. Bad jokes.
Yes.
We've got to spend
It's
the
going to
time.
happen eventually, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, give us a break.
Oh, this is a big fight, and that's Ricky's already down.
Yep, Ricky's gone, and Dreamy's going to take away his head for sale. RDK in the interim is, he's going to make a hasty escape, as in locked in will be Sven on the sidelines there. Nice duel going in there. That's an increased duration. He's immune to just about everything. It's just the two of them. It's going to last forever. Oh no, Slark on the sidelines getting almost knocked out. He's done. It's over. Soda and RDK are down, and I don't see any buybacks available for them.
No buybacks available on the side of Bravado Gaming. This is going to be Bravado Gaming going out of the tournament, most likely. They are not a team to call GG, but with no buybacks here and just a disrupt on the board, I feel Energy Esports have managed to do this, Wilson.
BVD,
Wow.
BVD must be holding their heads so hard. They must have the They must have a monumental, earth-shattering headache after this game, because they really have poured their hearts and souls into staying here at the Mega8, and for very, very good reason. It just seems like EN walked away with that one last fight more, that one little inch, and that is all they needed to finish them off and take them out of the tournament.
And one final crash and burn. Mikasa trying to do what he do, but at the end of the day, buybacks proved to be the tail that it was. No buybacks on the side of EN. I mean on the side of BVD, and that is going to be game.
Yep, this is indeed the end of the Tale of Two Ancients. Very, 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 very difficult game for BVD. They played their hearts out. They were absolutely spectacular. 23-34 was the final score, but it certainly doesn't reflect the amount of effort, blood, sweat, and tears that was put into this by BVD.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what a game. Probably one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting we've seen so far on the mainstream. Just these two teams going absolutely ham on each other. But I mean, it's the net worth difference that also at the end of the day that makes a huge difference. You look at the 26k net worth of RDK, compared to the 29k net worth of Dreamy, that's okay. But then you look at the comparison between your mid lane heroes. You've got 32k on Chosen One in terms of net worth, and just 17 on Soda. He needed to get just bigger on that DP. But unfortunately, not having the flash farm ability the same flash farm ability as the TA. Just
also, I mean, you can see some seriously notable dips and dives within the graph if you take a look here.
Yeah.
And that's just moments when she went down more often than the other one. 7 deaths to her name. Ultimately, an admirable performance, all things considered. Could have gone better, definitely, for BVD, obviously. Yeah. But I don't think it's really anybody's fault in particular. Mikasa was doing exactly what he's designed to do. Unfortunately, Energy Esports prepared themselves, unlike a few others, who basically ignore the invis entirely. Mikasa was doing so much work, and yeah, I feel it's just the preparation from Energy Esports that really sunk it.
And just one interesting tidbit, just one gem from each side was bought that game.
Yep.
Just one in the 50 minutes. So even though there were invis heroes all over the show, and you see how many 36th century wards bought for poor impact. He had a lot of work to do there, and
he threw away 5,000 gold on basically detection.
Yeah, well, Strike did exactly the same. Yeah. So this just proves to you how important vision is, and vision ultimately, Ian, having the vision and being able to get those clutch team fights, being able to jump in on a hero, kill Mikasa in that final team fight before things even started, that proved to be the turning point that allowed Energy Esports to actually win this game.
Yep, definitely. Taking a last quick look at the damage dealt. Top prize going to Dreamy, no surprise. But let's see if the panel wants to chime on in and tell us who they think is responsible for bringing this one home for the side of Energy Esports.
Thanks very much, guys. I'm sure you enjoyed casting that game as we did enjoy watching it. Really something quite entertaining, and we didn't lie. I mean, we said it was going to be a great one. It was a great one. Gentlemen, yeah, I'm sure you have a lot to talk about. Where do you guys want to start?
I just want to rub in everyone's face that said Bravado were going to win, by the way. I mean, I definitely called it, Yeah.
Okay, let's be honest, right? If 35 minutes in the game, were you still
confident? Dude, it doesn't matter. The end results. I don't care what happened in the game. They won.
Well, at least you were right once this weekend, Donnie.
Got to be right once a day.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go back in time, right? Like, let's explore this from the laning stages of the draft. Gentlemen, how do you think these drafts played out? Do you think both teams got what they want out of it?
I think Energy did enough in the early stages to buy themselves the time to get late game. The biggest problem really became that RDK was also always at the top of the net worth, and he became a major issue for them to deal with. They had no real control for him. Sure, they had a lot of stuns and all the rest, but the thing is, he could just sit on, if it was the Sven can't hit back for the most part. So it's he would just instant kill the Sven, and then unfortunately the TA was getting caught in some odd positions as well that ended up getting her a couple of deaths. So RDK did huge amounts of work, and I mean, I think the biggest plays though were made near the end by Chelsea. Like if he doesn't get the stun there on RDK, that fight goes like way differently.
There were a lot of clutch moments in that game. It was crazy. Also, what probably mattered the most for that game is why Energy managed to do so well in some fights, because they would initiate, right? And I think if Bravado initiated, a lot of the fights early game went their way. So it was basically like who got the fight they were looking for. And if Energy initiated with Warlock ulti and Sven stun, you saw Soda basically popped. Like the Roche fight, they blinked in on him, dead, instantly. And like that, I think that's the most important part was them getting the fights they actually wanted.
Yeah, each time that we saw Energy do that, they were able to win the fight. Like, the way we saw this game, for the first like 26 minutes of the game, Bravado was actually finding good fights for themselves. But then most of the time it was facilitated by Mikasa running around, getting them vision with the Variki. The moment that they bought Gem, and they made a point of it on Energy, like we saw that Gem come out on Chelsea, suddenly the game changed on its head. Like no more fights were being able to be taken by Bravado on their own terms. Slot can't initiate with the Shadow Blade. Ricky is left out in the wild all the time. You just can't do anything. So every fight is being taken on the terms of Energy Esports. And obviously the team that starts the fight with Warlock Golem on their side, a much better chance of winning it thereafter.
And speaking of which, I mean, we saw one particular fight that stands out in mind for me where DP actually has ulti down, and they were trying to push against the racks. And I believe he actually bought back and then had his ulti available at the same time. What do you guys think?
Was this when Templar Assassin bought back?
It was Bravado pushing the top tier 3.
Yeah, they took the racks, and then that was a huge misplay.
so
Chosen One nearly threw the game for his team. I'm pretty sure. Like he saw Slark didn't have. Okay, Slark uses BKB, Slark uses ulti. So in his head, he was probably like, they don't have anything. Let's go. And then he TPs in, and suddenly DP ulti is just destroying them, and then they're all trying to evacuate. And Chosen One nearly goes down, but they managed to get away. Thank goodness. I mean, that would have been, I think, quite scary.
Again, Chelsea saved that fight because he went into Maelstrike, but then as we were about to come in with more damage from the DP, forced off away. Suddenly there's space again for TA to blink out. So Chelsea kind of saved the game. And the last fight, I think we saw the last couple of fights, we see situations where Slot can actually get in, and he's in the fight. He's like, great, this is fantastic. But before he's able to deal any amount of damage, he's either stunned immediately via the Impale, or next, like Chelsea would do this really cool thing where he'd blink right on top of the Slot, carapace, and walk away. Because he knows Slot always has to be dog packed in to try and get in and out of the fight. So immediately gets stunned afterwards, like, what can you do as RDK? And then RDK is forced to jump out of the fight. And then suddenly Energy has the numbers advantage as well. So, like, it honestly, like Chelsea did so much work in this game, like ensuring that the team won.
Also, the top near the final like BVD push near the top when they had Rosh and Aegis and Cheese, and like RDK's positioning actually ended up getting him killed there. He was standing right next to the dueled Sven, and Sven was just like eating him alive. Like he's just standing next to LT. Like, please,
he did not want to be next to his friend.
Yeah, and I
made
mean,
it grave.
Yeah, it was just like I think that was like the last real chance that BVD had against Energy, because at that point, like it like Danny was saying, it's like that was not a game to be a support towards the end, because it's like they basically just like they see someone and they're just dead, and you're just like, oh, okay, well,
Get one shot.
yeah.
Also, it didn't help that Soda didn't really get much accomplished on his DP this game. The first two pushes, for example, it took really a long time for them to get that tier 1 tower in the mid lane, and at the end of the day, it took a push that didn't even need the DP ultimate. I think they only took like, what, 2 towers the entire game?
And it's a racks, I mean.
But the racks, I feel like if you're already high ground at that point, having won the fight, you might not necessarily need Exorcism to win thereafter. So as much as I love Soda DP, this game didn't really feel like he could do anything. And his farm, we saw for the majority of the game, like after the laning phase, he was always not even in the top 3, like bottom, like sometimes it was a bottom 5, and you're just like, what's happening with this hero?
Yeah.
So it's not like there wasn't space across the map, but just I think the gem as well made it worse, like made him scared to move around the map, so he couldn't really do too much. And I think Energy is actually, it seems like they're really good at that kind of playstyle, like forcing you to feel always perpetually unsafe when you farm, and especially for your mid heroes, you have to have somebody backing you up to farm, but that also slows down your farm because you have to move with this one hero. So I think they strategically play that very well whenever they do that.
Don't you think Chelsea's not only stuns were really good in the fights, right? But if you saw, he had Gem, he bought one Gem, and he literally made Mikasa's life. Mikasa was like, I would think non-existent in that game. You would say, I don't even remember him in the fight, right? He's always dead. It was just like, he was just not a feature. And I think that was just because Chelsea was literally running around the map, giving as much, he gave a lot of vision. He didn't die, he died twice, right? He was just giving vision, one gem, never lost a gem, giving his team information, finding Ricky to get pickoffs, finding different heroes like DP and stuff like that. I mean, he really created a lot of space in a different way.
Yeah. Like, just keeping tracks on the Ricky, I think, gave them a hell of a lot of knowledge of where he was and what kind of ganks they could set up without him.
So, I mean, it kind of beat the Ricky at his own game, I guess you're saying.
Basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so obviously this does mean that Bravado Gaming are going home. They've been knocked out by old-time rivals NG Esports. I'm curious. I feel like there were some really high-level players in that game. One that stands out to me is Chosen One on the TA, getting that last side blade hit onto.
That was crazy.
That was so
yeah, we all went after. I mean, yeah, you must have been really after that
Let
play.
me finish. We won.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
You get it, they might not. But of course, yeah, I'm referring to when Chosen One got that last side blade hit onto the Slark.
Yeah,
Was,
that's just like
ulti.
that's just game sense to like take that chance.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I mean, do you feel that these teams have stepped it up a bit? I mean, are we seeing two teams that were playing at their best potentially, and they had a good game on both sides? Does it just bode very well for both these sides going forward? Where do you think they stand?
Like I think they both do have flaws. That's why they are in the bracket, and that's why I think both teams could have won the game. I think probably earlier than it needed to go here, but both sides do have issues. And even though Energy won, like I still don't see the energy that we saw last weekend when they did beat White Rabbit Gaming. That like looked like a confident energy. Here you can see. Sometimes they're like they have crazy confidence, and then like they'll make a silly play, like Chosen One buying back there because he misread the situation type thing. I think if they just calm down sometimes, it almost feels like they're getting too hype and they're getting too into the game, and it's like guys, just chill, like just calm down, and you guys will make lives a lot simpler for yourselves.
That being said, I do think this series made both teams look better than I would have thought they would look prior. I think the thing that this particular series highlighted was just how well a hero can do, well a player can do on a comfort hero, and also what a player can do to shut down another player's comfort hero. So at the beginning of the game, we're all like, great, Soto's on his comfort hero. We have RDK on Slug. On the Bravado side, you have Sven, TA, Chosen One, TA. I mean, come on, it's going to be the easiest games ever. And it looked like that was going to be the entire trajectory of the game, but then Energy mix it up, getting new items, immediately shut down what Bravado tried to do. Bravado didn't really come back immediately afterwards, but the one thing that they did do, which was really cool, is Slog went for Basher first, right? So even though there was a ton of ways for him to be controlled in the fight, him going for that Basher put so much pressure on the Sven, and we saw it took actually a really long time before Sven felt comfortable fighting around the Slog once again. So both teams actually were really clutch. They had a lot of clutch plays, a lot of really good game sense coming out of both teams. But at the end of the day, I think the main thing is just the gem. The gem on Nyx kind of won the game. Because it takes Ricky out the game instantly and halves the DP's potential contribution to the game as well. So after that, like, what can you do at this point?
Don't you think, I don't remember many, like, high skill individual players from Bravado side, but you remember a lot of them coming out of Energy, right?
Yeah.
There were, like, quite a few, like, I would say, I don't see them very often come from those players, and then I just saw it now, and I was like,
This is
that's
so
crazy.
sick.
Like, I was like, that's crazy that they just pulled that off. And I think that the fact that they're even capable of doing that, that shows that when they're playing their best, they can be that good. But it's like they just like to constantly play that out. They just got to figure that out.
There was one really sick play from RDK when they were trying to push in the mid lane. After I think they just lost their tier 3 tower, and then he went Shadowblade, right? And instead of jumping in the middle of the fight, he went to a shrine first, came from all the way around, found Strike, like hunted nobody else, went straight on Strike, killed him. And then even though they lost the shots immediately afterwards, like Sven took him out. Suddenly you could almost see EN be like, wait, where's our Warlock? Where's the rest of our team fight? Then they turn around and everything
RDK
changed.
hunted
Like
Strike very, very often in that fight. He knew that Strike had to be removed from most of the fights. If he had the Warlock, if he had the Golem up, he needed to be taken out. Even if he didn't sometimes have the Golem up, you didn't want him anywhere near the potential to get some ridiculous fatal bonds and then have Sven come and like whack 2 heroes and kill the whole team sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, although I would love to hear this go on for another good solid 30 minutes, because I think we could talk about this game for longer than the game actually existed. But we do have another game we need to talk about, and that, of course, is NG Esports once again, and this time coming up against XD, who